Insomniac Games is currently one of the busiest studios in the gaming industry right now. While they're still supporting some of their previous titles behind the scenes, the studio is heavily focused on multiple massive projects that are all reportedly in active development. And today we're going to break down everything that's currently confirmed, all the major rumors, and what Insomniac's future lineup could look like over the next several years. So let's get into it. The next major release from Insomniac Games is expected to be Marvel's Wolverine, which is currently targeting a 2026 release window. Now, even though Sony and Insomniac have been extremely quiet about the game recently, we actually do have some important updates surrounding the project. According to recent reports and insider information, Marvel's Wolverine is no longer expected to launch on PC at release and will instead remain a full PlayStation exclusive. It seems like Sony is doubling down on exclusives again, especially for their biggest first-party superhero titles. As for the game itself, Wolverine is being described as a third-person action-adventure experience with a darker and more brutal tone compared to the Spider-Man games. The gameplay is reportedly by titles like God of War Ragnarok, featuring intense combat, cinematic storytelling, and semi-open world environments rather than one giant open map. Instead of a massive city like New York, the game is expected to include multiple large regions and locations that players can freely explore. Each area will reportedly have its own missions, side activities, enemies, and storylines connected to the larger narrative. And of course, because this is a Wolverine game, fans can expect plenty of characters from the X-Men universe to appear throughout the story. Several leaks suggest that both heroes and villains connected to the X-Men franchise will play major roles in the game, potentially setting the foundation for something much bigger in the future. In fact, according to long-term reports and leaked development plans, Insomniac is allegedly building toward a full X-Men game plan for the 2030s. Marvel's Wolverine may not just be a standalone story. It could actually become the beginning of an entirely connected mutant universe inside Insomniac's Marvel franchise. Now, after Wolverine, the next big project rumored to release is Marvel Venom, Lethal Protector, which is currently expected sometime in 2027. And honestly, this is one of the most interesting projects Insomniac is reportedly working on right now. The game's development status has apparently remained active despite months of rumors claiming it had been canceled. Multiple insiders and leakers have stated that the project is still moving forward behind the scenes, although it may have gone through significant internal changes during development. At one point, many fans believed the game had been scrapped entirely, and that's mainly because after Insomniac restructured some of its plans internally, several things suddenly disappeared. The studio canceled post-launch DLC plans for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and there was almost complete silence surrounding the rumored Venom project. Because of that, people assumed Sony may have quietly canceled the game. But according to newer reports, that apparently isn't the case at all. Instead, the project was allegedly delayed internally so the team could significantly expand its scope and ambition. The game is now rumored to act as a major bridge between Spider-Man 2 and the eventual Spider-Man 3. And if the leaks are accurate, the game could feature up to 3 playable characters throughout the story. Right now, we still don't know exactly who those characters are, but Venom himself is obviously expected to be the main focus. There's also a strong possibility that content originally planned as DLC for Spider-Man 2 has now been transformed into major story content for the Venom game itself. One of the biggest examples is the rumored Carnage storyline. Originally, many fans believed Carnage would appear through a dedicated Spider-Man 2 DLC expansion. But now, reports suggest that storyline may have been integrated directly into Marvel Venom Lethal Protector instead, and honestly, that could make the Venom game much bigger than people originally expected. One of the most interesting story elements involves Anti-Venom. According to the leaks, Anti-Venom will appear in the Venom game, but not in the way we've already seen. This version of Anti-Venom is not controlled by Peter Parker. Instead, it's described as a more monstrous, comic-accurate version closely tied to Eddie Brock. Unlike Peter, who struggles to balance power and control, Eddie Brock reportedly maintains full control over Anti-Venom, both physically and mentally. This contrast between Peter's Anti-Venom and Eddie's version could play a major thematic role in the story. The leaks also suggest that Peter Parker's Anti-Venom and Eddie Brock's Anti-Venom are two completely separate entities, not alternate forms of the same symbiote, even though Marvel's Spider-Man 2 ends with Peter Parker stepping away from his role as New York's main Spider-Man. The Venom game reportedly shows that he is far from retired. Because Venom's story revolves around Carnage, it's almost guaranteed that Peter Parker will appear as a major supporting character, actively helping Venom stop Carnage's rampage. Former police officer Yer Watanabe is also rumored to be involved, suggesting a darker, more grounded storyline focused on brutal street-level chaos rather than purely cosmic threats. So while Peter may be on hiatus, he's still very much active behind the scenes. Now here's where things get really interesting for Marvel's Spider-Man 3. Insomniac is reportedly working to include Miguel O'Hara, also known as Spider-Man 2099, in one of their upcoming projects. Based on current information, this appearance is unlikely to happen in the Venom game Wolverine or the X-Men project that strongly suggests that Spider-Man 2099 will debut in Marvel's Spider-Man 3. Remember, Insomniac previously planned a Spider-Verse DLC for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, but that content was cancelled. Additionally, the multiplayer Spider-Verse game, The Great Web, was also scrapped. Now it appears that Insomniac may be reworking those ideas into a full single-player narrative for Spider-Man 3, this time centered around a multiversal catastrophe involving Miguel O'Hara. If these leaks are accurate, Spider-Man 3 could feature Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2099 teaming up to deal with threats across multiple universes. The X-Men game is shaping up to be one of the biggest projects at Insomniac Games, and it's expected to arrive after Marvel's Spider-Man 3. We learned all of this following the massive Insomniac Games hack, which leaked internal documents, roadmaps, and long-term plans for nearly everything the studio has been working on behind the scenes. According to those leaked documents, Insomniac Games has been quietly developing an X-Men game for several years. However, fans should be prepared for a long wait before they can finally suit up as their favorite mutants. The leaks revealed multiple evolving roadmaps, showing that Insomniac's plans changed significantly over time due to internal strategy shifts and decisions from Sony. Based on the leaked internal roadmap, Insomniac originally had a very ambitious release schedule planned out years in advance. Fall 2026, Marvel's Wolverine 2027 originally planned as a DLC-focused year. Fall 2028, Marvel's Spider-Man 3 around 2030, Marvel's X-Men. Interestingly, Man 3 was initially targeted for 2027, but it was later pushed to 2028 as the studio adjusted its priorities. The leaked timeline also suggested that after 2035, Insomniac would finally move on to a brand new IP, though it remains unclear whether that project would be completely original or still tied to Marvel in some way. One of the most surprising revelations from the leaks was Insomniac's original plan for Marvel's Wolverine. Early internal documents showed that Wolverine was intended to be the first game in a trilogy. However, those plans were eventually scrapped, and the studio decided to focus on a single standalone title instead. In even earlier versions of the roadmap, the Wolverine sequel was actually labeled as X-Men, suggesting that Insomniac viewed Wolverine as the foundation for a much larger mutant-focused universe. Under this interpretation, Wolverine could effectively serve as X-Men Part 1, with a dedicated X-Men game acting as the second major entry in an interconnected franchise. The roadmap also hinted at X-Men 3, planned around 2033, though whether that would be a direct sequel, a spin-off, or an entirely new concept remains unknown. Overall, Insomniac's roadmap looks amazing, but I'm gonna be real, they need to be careful too, because working on multiple superhero games at the same time is crazy, and Insomniac has a great reputation, so the last thing anyone wants is rushed games, unfinished launches, or games that feel too similar. But if they take their time, keep the quality high, and keep building this universe the right way, Insomniac could basically become the #1 superhero game studio, and right now it feels like they're already on that path. But yeah, that's everything we know so far about Insomniac's superhero roadmap: Wolverine in fall 2026, a Venom game potentially bridging the gap, and then Spider-Man 3 is the final chapter sometime around 2028 or 2029. Now I want to know what you think. Which game are you more excited for? Wolverine, Venom, or Spider-Man 3? And what do you think that mystery unannounced project is? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more news and updates, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching!